Well, Mexico trained earlier this evening ahead of the last 16 match. Wolves and Mexico striker Raul Jimenez, a familiar face to the England backline, and especially Jordan Pickford. Let's hear from Gary Cottrell, who's been at that training session in Mexico City.
Mexico preparing for this massive game in their history. You could sense the excitement around the city, not just down here among the players and the staff and the local journalists, but all across Mexico City. Everyone was looking forward so much to this home World Cup, but few expected Mexico to do quite as well as they are. Won every game so far in the World Cup, not conceded a single goal, and that gives them real confidence of being able to progress even deeper into this competition. The squad, the players are aware of England's defensive issues. None more so than Raul Jimenez, who has scored in his Premier League time the last 8 seasons 6 times against Jordan Pickford. And I reminded him of that when he spoke to us a little earlier.
Well, I saw that statistic yesterday. I saw it. I didn't realize it before. But, well, it's really good, and I want to keep increasing my goals against him, against England. Will be my first, but, well, I'll be working hard, making the things difficult for their defense. And for us to win the game, we need every goal that we can make.
Obviously, Jimenez, Wolves in the Premier League, Fulham in the Premier League, now back at Wolves in the Championship, but knows all the England players, or the majority of the England players, very well, has played against them, knows what they can do. I'm sure he's been given extra advice to his teammates and coaches, even though, of course, they will have sat down and watched videos of England. When I asked him whether or not it was extra important to him, because he does know a lot of the players, because it is England that he's facing, he said, no, not necessarily.
Oh, it's always important. It's not just because it's England. It's because it's the World Cup, and we want to make the very best of our own. And if we can make everyone the best game in our lives, will be fantastic.
So they're at home. They've got this great record so far in the World Cup. They haven't conceded, as discussed, but also they've got that partisan crowd behind them and the altitude as well, which we've spoken a lot about, and potentially rainstorms, thunder and lightning. So all these things in the mix mean that down here at the Mexico training ground, everyone's pretty happy.
England and the World Cup, and it's been a whirlwind 24 hours for Thomas Tuchel and his team. Reports on Friday suggested the last 16 clash against Mexico could be moved forward by 6 hours, but kickoff will remain at 1 a.m. UK time Monday morning as originally scheduled. Let's cross to our chief correspondent, Kaveh Solhekol, who's in Mexico City for us now. Kaveh, welcome along. Plenty of discussion around potential thunderstorms in the build-up. What's the latest forecast?
Well, the latest is that the game is going to kick off at the original kick-off time, which is 6 p.m. local time here tomorrow, 1 a.m. the time in the UK. At the moment here in Mexico City, it feels like the calm before the storm, because, of course, storms are forecast for the couple of hours before the game starts and also during the game. And what FIFA is worried about is a situation that we had at the game earlier during this tournament between France and Iraq, which was delayed for 2 hours because of storms, and problems that we also had at 6 games in the Club World Cup in the US last summer, where games were disrupted because of the weather. One game between Chelsea and Benfica ended up lasting around 4.5 hours. Now, I think FIFA were sensible. What they were doing yesterday was looking and digesting the weather reports which they were getting, which said that there was a severe threat of serious disruption to this game. So they felt that the sensible thing to do was consider moving the kick-off time to midday local time, when they were pretty confident that the weather would be fine and there would be no storms. The only issue is that once they contacted the Football Association and also the Mexican Football Association, both those federations were dead against the kick-off time being moved. And I think a lot of that has to do with what the two respective managers thought about the kick-off time being moved. You have to remember these two sides are going to be extremely well prepared. Virtually every minute of what they do in the build-up to such a big game is planned for. And there is no way Javier Aguirre, the Mexico manager, or Thomas Tuchel would want their preparations to be disrupted. I have some sympathy for FIFA in all this because, in a sense, they're damned if they do and they're damned if they don't. If they stick with the original kickoff time, which is what they're doing, and there are severe storms, there is lightning, the game is delayed, it could go on, and England fans watching at home may end up watching some of the game while they're having their breakfast. Also, it would have serious issues for the authorities here because the game is kicking off at 6 p.m. local time. Say if we had the problems that we had at the Club World Cup with Chelsea's game against Benfica, this game could end up finishing around 11 p.m. And then you would have the whole security headache of trying to deal with all the fans leaving the Azteca Stadium, trying to get back into the center of Mexico City. And you would have the serious scenes that we have seen after Mexico games here in the center of Mexico City. You can see behind me, for instance, this is one of the main squares that has all been boarded up because it has to be like that because so many fans descend on this area. Where we're standing at the moment is right in the heart of Mexico City. There is going to be a massive watch party here for the game. And unfortunately, after the Ecuador game, there were serious problems. There were reports that 4 people had died in the crush after the celebrations after Mexico knocked Ecuador out of the World Cup.
It's going to be potentially chaotic scenes there, Kaveh. For people watching at home, just to reiterate, because it's going to be alarm clocks, are they staying up? What's the strategy? You think it's going to be 1 a.m, that is the time, unless it's moved later. So people might have to get up and then go back to bed again.
Well, look, what I'm telling you is that FIFA have decided for the time being that the game will kick off as originally planned at 1 a.m. UK time. But we're being told there's an 80% chance of thunderstorms. If there are storms, if there is lightning, then the players would be led back into the dressing room. The fans would be asked to return and go to the concourses to stay away from the threat of lightning. The game would be held up. I'm just telling you that last summer, when there were games in the United States, there were delays of up to 2.5 hours. Now, if that happens tomorrow, say the game doesn't kick off at 1 a.m. because there are storms and there's lightning, the game may kick off, I don't know, I'm just, these are hypothetical assumptions depending on what happens with the weather. What happens if the game kicks off at 3 a.m? What happens if it goes to extra time? What happens if there are penalties? That is why I'm saying to you, you should prepare for the possibility of this game not kicking off at 1 a.m. and also the possibility that it could last a lot longer than a normal World Cup knockout match could or would last, and that is purely because of this threat of extreme weather here tomorrow evening.
Going to be very interesting in workplaces around the country on Monday morning, Kaveh. Hopefully it's a happy scene, if not a productive one. Thank you very much for now. To the World Cup now, England set to face Mexico in the last 16 on Sunday, but the build-up has been dominated by discussions around potential thunderstorms. FIFA are meeting with local officials today to discuss the situation. Another talking point's been around where Declan Rice will play. He deputised in defence during England's last 32 win over Congo DR. And speaking on the Lions Den podcast, Rice said he would play there again if asked to do so.
I've played there a few times this season, like 2 or 3 times. I don't mind. If I've got to do a job, I'll do a job. Like, I don't mind. But to be fair, as soon as I went to right back, I said to him straight away, I said, bro, make sure you play right. I said, right, you play right next to me. Because it's tough. Like, you're obviously not playing in the position you're used to. But going forwards, that different. Obviously, had Bukayo, Ebbs come on in the 10, so it was kind of like a connection we have at club, understanding each other's movements. But yeah, it was a tough 10, 15 minutes.
Yeah, for sure. How did it feel there? He was there right next to you, bro.
No, it felt secure. I felt good. I believed in him. No, look, like he said, he's played there before. Everyone knows his qualities and what he's about. So, yeah, I had no worries.
Meanwhile, Jamie Carragher has said that Rice shouldn't play in the back for England at right back and believes his cameo reflected poorly on Tuchel's squad selection for the tournament.
England have got a slim chance of going all the way in the World Cup. I don't think playing Declan Rice as the right back from now to the end of the tournament would be the solution. To be honest, I think you'd leave yourself so empty and in midfield. I thought Elliot Anderson in the one game, Declan Rice wasn't in there. I think found it tough dealing with opposition's counter-attacks, and that was against moderate opposition as well. So for me, Declan Rice would be in midfield. I think maybe the other option is maybe putting Konza there and putting John Stones in at centre-back. And, a bit more experience. He is a top-level performer. It's just that he hasn't had enough football, and we saw that in the first game. But this all just goes back to Thomas Tuchel's decisions around the right-back area. It's just not been right from day one, really, in the squad that he picked, and that's not being clever after the event. I mean, he picked two very injury-prone players right back. He brought another right back in, if you like, Jed Spence, who can cover at left back. But I think to bring Chalobah in when there was injuries in that position it was a bizarre decision, really, because he's not a right back, so you're going to leave yourself short.
You can hear from Thomas Tuchel and Transfer news, Besiktas have agreed a deal in principle with Arsenal to sign Leandro Trossard for a reported £17 million. Trossard's currently at the World Cup with Belgium. They're preparing to face the United States in the round of 16. We've previously reported there could be at least one departure in the Arsenal front line if they are to recruit in that position. Another man at the World Cup, Como preparing a second offer for Chelsea defender Trevor Chalobah. According to Sky in Italy, Cesc Fabregas' side are planning to increase their bid to £25.7 million plus